Good morning, Carter Humphreys here, 4-H Extension Agent in Henrico County. I am going to do a fun activity this morning. It's one of my favorite ones to do with embryology, and it involves this guy, an egg. And we're gonna crack open this egg. This is so much fun to do with your kids of all ages, I promise. And we're gonna learn about the different parts of the egg and their function. So you need a fun plate like this one. A regular store-bought egg. There's nothing special about this egg. So I always teach one finger to touch for the kids. So I'm gonna hold this up. You can see it, it's gonna roll around, but lightly touch the egg, and you can have your kids give some descriptive words about the egg. So they're gonna say it's cold, it's hard, it may be rough. So trying to get those adjective words to get them to describe what the egg is like. And then you can ask them what they're touching. And so we all know that this part out here is called the shell. And the purpose of the shell is to protect the egg. It's hard so that if it drops, it didn't break, right? I can drop it from a pretty good distance, and that's another really fun activity to do as well. So then, once you have talked about the outside of the egg, you can begin to crack it open, but don't crack it completely. So what I like to do is just a little tap, just to give a little bit of crack. Okay, and then actually just peel that shell just a little bit. Okay, and because what you can do, yeah, it's kind of gross and the kids freak out, but it's great, is you can actually see the membrane that is underneath of the eggshell. So you can have the kids touch it. Don't want them to poke it, but just lightly touch, and they'll freak out, of course, but it's so much fun. And just lightly touch it. Again, have them do those descriptive words. Talk about how it's a little bit translucent, a little bit opaque. You can see through it, but not completely. But I can see that something is moving under there. And so again, the purpose is it's some general more protection for the egg, protecting against those microorganisms that may get into it. So go ahead and crack open the egg. You want to try and crack it in half as so. Here's my lovely egg. I got some shell on the plate from where I cracked it. It's totally fine. All right. So now that bottom part of the egg, I'm going to bring this up close. Of course, it's hard to see on the camera, but right in there, you're looking for a little bubble, okay? And that bubble is called the air cell. The air cell helps the chicken breathe as it is growing inside of the egg. It is passing through carbon dioxide while the chicken's getting in the oxygen that it needs to breathe. So you can have your kids touch this. There's also some great labeling worksheets out there, friends. Go find one, okay? So sticky fingers down. Now you can have them touch the actual egg. So I just take the one finger again, because otherwise kids like to go like this. Okay, so you can have them lightly touch the outside of the egg like that. Okay. And you can say, okay, well, did it pop? No, it didn't. Why not? Why didn't it pop? So over the outside of this egg, there is another membrane, okay, and it's called the vitelline membrane, and that is protecting that dark yellow part. I know you know what it's called, but we're going to talk about it in a minute, okay? So it's protecting that dark yellow part there, and again, keeping it shaped, not allowing things to pass through, protection, because that's where your baby's going to grow. All right, now it might be a little hard to see on here, so I'm going to try and twist it around. You might be able to tell. You should have some little stringies. There you go. You can see them right there. Those are called chalaza. And they should be on both sides of the egg. So they should look like this if your egg's in the middle. Okay. And those are little white strings, that cords that hold the egg inside of the shell so that it's not moving all around. I want some stability there. So that is the purpose of those chalaza cords, okay? Holding that egg in the middle. So We all know what the egg is called, right? That dark yellow part, we know it's the yolk. Most kids know that term. So, and you can talk about that is a protein, that is nutrients for the chick that would grow if it were fertilized. Well, how do we know it's fertilized? You really don't. But, and this is probably going to be impossible to show on here. Looking on your egg really closely, you should see like this little teeny white dot. And that white dot is called the germinal disc. You may or may not see it depending on how you cracked your egg. You may have to try and flip the egg over. Possible you might break your yolk. It's totally fine. Probably won't be able to see it then. But if you can find that little white dot, that is called the germinal disc. And the germinal disc is where your egg were to get fertilized if it were a fertilized egg. So what happens is your rooster fertilizes your hen, they go to this disc, becomes fertilized, and then your, of course, chicken starts to grow from that germinal disc once it's in incubation or the mama hen is sitting on it. So it's going to start to grow from that, eat the yolk, and then it's going to eat the next part, which is this kind of clear part. Okay, and you should be able to see two really distinct clear parts. So you're going to see one that's kind of like this, that is encompassing that egg yolk that we talked about. It's going to be a little thicker, so you can have them, your kids feel the difference between that thicker and then the outer part. Ooh, you see that? The outer part is liquid. It's going to be a lot thinner. You can have them, you should be able to pretty much feel the difference between them and visually see the difference as well. So that both of those parts are called the albumin, or what we know as the egg white. And so there's two of them. There's the thick albumin, which is that really thick part that's right outside of the egg, and then the thinner part. And of course, again, that is also some nutrients for your chicken to grow from. So yeah, that is my cracking the egg activity. It's one of my favorites. The kids love it. You get some sticky fingers. At the very end, I always give them 1 minute to take one finger and do whatever they want, because the first question he asks is, can I pop the yolk? Go for it, friend. Pop that yolk. Let it ooze out. Okay, they can pop the air so if they want to, crack a shell. All right, thanks for tuning in, friends.